It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
You're listening to Road to World Cup 26. Very, very glad to have you along. My name is Nick Britten. I am, as always, your host, and as always, I am joined by Mr. Ken Davies in a different part of the world today. Where are you, Ken?
I'm in my country cottage in the Peak District. I'm broadcasting live via Starlink, which I managed to set up earlier in the week, which was... I was really pleased with myself because I'm a bit of a technophobe. So when this big box comes with all these satellite dish and we're thinking, hello, this is going to be complicated. Absolutely works like a dream. 100 mega BPSs per something being beamed from satellite right down my throat.
Lovely. What a lovely thought. Beamed up into the sky and back again.
Oh, yeah.
How lovely, Ken. How lovely. Well, it's very good to have you on board, my friend. As always, we've got a jam-packed episode, as they're all becoming now, as we approach the tournament. Lots of news going on. We're going to have a look
5 weeks today, mate. 5 weeks
yeah,
today.
5 weeks. It is, yeah. 5 weeks today. We're going to have a look at what's going on with a bit of a problem for FIFA and broadcasting rights. We're going to have a look at a good club v country row going on with the Mexican Football Federation. There's stuff on tickets. There's a little bit of movement on the Iran situation. One of our regular listeners has written in with a question that we're going to answer, and that's all to do with England and other bits and bobs. We'll barely get time for Kenny's quiz this week, Ken, which you'll be delighted at because you did very poorly last week. And of course,
I did extremely well. I think I got 2.5 out of 3.
You did, yeah, you did. You won it last week. But my fear of you winning it being portentous for Wrexham then getting in the playoffs to get promoted from the Championship wasn't borne out. And after a season, mate, of you and I going toe-to-toe, eye-to-eye, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? The answer is neither of us. Both Derby and Wrexham miss out and Hull City get in.
Absolutely dreadful. I mean, Hull are a pretty dreadful team. They're not going to interest anyone in the playoffs, I don't think. Yeah, I thought we'd do it. Actually, I thought you'd do it. I thought Derby would do it.
Because for 45 minutes, for 45 minutes, we were doing it. It was a brilliant day. I've got to say, mate. I've got to say, you know, anybody who's listening to this is a football fan, and football was made for days like this. I know we didn't get there in the end, but you know, I was at Pride Park. Obviously, it was a brilliant atmosphere. We got a goal really early on. The whole place went mad. Then news that Norwich were beating Hull. Then news that Middlesbrough were beating Wrexham. And when we sort of broke up at half time, it was on. We were in sixth. Unbelievably, we were in sixth. And I was trying to message you, but I saw you turned your phone off because you weren't having it.
I left my phone behind and wandered off through the Derbyshire countryside.
Within 15 minutes of the second half, starting, the whole thing had turned on its head. We'd let in 2 goals and were then losing. Yeah. Then it turned out Hull were equalising and then winning against Norwich, so it didn't matter what we did. And Wrexham were then sort of in it and not in it, and they were winning and then they weren't winning. That finished 2-2 with Middlesbrough. So in the end, it was really disappointment, but you know, not massive disappointment, and just a great day to be a football fan, I think.
Yeah, it was. They always are. The last games of the season when there's a lot riding on them, always great. Yeah. When there are 2 teams in it that you're actually bothered about out of the 3, that makes it particularly so. But I was disappointed. I expected a bit of a fairy tale end into Wrexham's, you know, charge up the leagues. It would have been nice to get in the playoffs. It's kind of the way it's worked over the course of the last few years. Everyone kind of half expected it. The only sunshine on a cloudy day was the fact that we finished above Derby County, which is kind of it's the most important thing, isn't it, really, at the end of the day? Far more important than getting into the Premier League.
It means nothing. It means nothing whatsoever. It means nothing whatsoever. It's almost as meaningless.
I've won a lot of cream cakes on that, by the way. I've 3 people owe me a cream cake and tea at the garden centre now. 3 individual people. They've all got to pay up individually. It's great.
You old man.
Oh yeah.
So that was your bet with somebody, a cream tea at the garden centre.
Yeah.
That tells me all I need to know about you, Kenny. All I need to know. Of more importance is I am battering you in Premier League fantasy. So.
Oh yeah, let's move on there. That's
Right. Okay. Let's get on with the World Cup stuff then, shall we? Where do we start? Goodness me, where do we start? Well, let's start with tickets, Kane. You've got news on tickets this week, haven't you? And a promise by the FIFA president.
Yeah, it's a weird one. So Infantino's like doubling down on the as we call it, rip-off World Cup. In the sense of he's saying these ticket prices are perfectly justified in America. Perfectly justified. There's nothing to see here. It's no big deal. If you go and watch college football, you're going to be paying the same prices. And this is the World Cup. Actually, he's got an argument. He's got an argument. It is when you compare it to those things, he has got an argument. But of course, the World Cup is not a US-centric phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon, and we don't all work on the same economics as the Americans do. But he seems to have forgotten that. But obviously, the resale thing has been going crazy. Somebody has put, by the way, tickets on for the final of over $1 million, over $1 million to go and buy this ticket. It's not even the best ticket. And Infantino, bless him, has said if anybody pays more than $2 million for a World Cup final ticket, he will personally bring them a hot dog and a Coke. Which
because he'll make some money out of that.
He probably will. But it's almost worth crowdfunding, isn't it, for that to actually get him to do it?
Well, only if I could then get the Coke and tip it over his head.
Yeah, well,
just for
he's delivered it.
Yeah.
Do what you want. Don't chip him, whatever you do. So Infantino's kind of doubling down on that. FIFA, by the way, and I'm leading to an interesting little development here. FIFA make 30%, by the way, on the resale phenomenon. You know, they make 15% out of the buyer, they make 15% out of the seller. I mean, they're making a lot of money. So it's in his interest to talk this stuff up. But in an interesting little development in Canada, not entirely across Canada, but in Ontario, which is obviously, as we all know, because we studied geography, is where Toronto is, and Toronto's got plenty of games.
I was there the other week. Very, very nice city.
Oh yeah, wonderful city.
Very
Toronto.
nice city.
And they're not allowed in Ontario to sell tickets above their face value for anything. It's a law. So FIFA have had to amend their website of their resale not to allow tickets for the Toronto games to be sold on the resale platform.
And Vancouver as well, because they're hosting games as well.
They are, but they're not part of Ontario.
Was it just the state? It's a state Ontario rule.
It's a state law in Canada. So it really only affects the Toronto games. But there's some significant games in Toronto. So they can't be sold. Now, what FIFA are doing is trying to put something together where there can be a resale situation or option, but no one can make any money out of it. So,
well, FIFA won't like that, will
is it?
They won't like that. Well, so there is value to be had in the resale market only if you go to Toronto to watch a game.
If you go to Toronto, you can get a ticket. You're going to get it at face value.
That's brilliant. That's what it should be.
Yeah, of course it should.
That's what it should be. As simple as that. Yeah, no, very interesting. Very interesting.
But you know, the second-hand ticket market is a massive market in America, and that's what this is all about. But I know you've been digging into the hotel situation, and maybe
we talked about
this thing isn't quite as clear as we think.
Well, we talked about this last week, didn't we? And I wouldn't say that we're leading the way on this podcast, Ken, but we are leading the way on this podcast. This week, a report was published in Forbes that kind of looked into this, quite a lot. And the American Hotel and Lodging Association published a survey of its members, and they're essentially saying the World Cup's a bit of a non-event.
Yeah,
it's not really happening. Now, when asked about what's going on, why aren't rooms selling, there were lots of reasons. They said, well, about 65 to 70% of hoteliers pointed to visa delays, travel restrictions, broader geopolitical concerns. So in other words, overseas travelers aren't coming.
Yeah,
they're just not coming. Costs, because we all know the costs. We all talked about the costs of the World Cup. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Airfares have gone through the roof, and they've gone through the roof even more because of the fuel crisis, jet fuel crisis. So I had a look at a couple of airfares today, just traveling internally around USA and Canada. It's so expensive all of a sudden. It really, really is. Hotels. This report said hotels are themselves to blame on the basis that they whacked up their prices by 300% at the start, and now nobody's paying it. So they've only got themselves to blame, really, for trying to make a fast buck. And I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever.
But I think
when they're forced to do this, and the last thing, sorry, just the last to finish, is FIFA itself, because FIFA, if you remember, block booked thousands and thousands and thousands of rooms.
Yeah.
And then the other week, because we covered this on the podcast, they just released them. Yeah. So suddenly the market is being flooded with empty rooms and unsold beds.
Well, that is a massive indicator that we're going to see a lot of empty seats at the World Cup. Because if these beds are free, then the fans aren't there. The fans aren't there, and it's 5 weeks to go. Unless there's a massive rush in the next 5 weeks, if there's empty beds, there's empty seats. Simple as that.
Yes, because the empty beds are the international travellers. So domestic bookings are still as you would expect them to be. Ticket prices, and you've just talked about it, we've talked about it before, are very much priced at the American market.
Yeah.
So, and we've said this from day one, didn't we? We said this from the very start. This World Cup is being targeted very, very strongly at American people.
Yeah.
Or people who live in expats who live in America.
Yeah.
So domestic. It's not being targeted for international travellers.
It doesn't feel like an international World Cup,
it just isn't. All the stuff that the Hotel Association have highlighted there, and what we've been talking about for a long time now, is international travellers. There are a lot of barriers being put in place: cost, visas, concerns over immigration and homeland security, all of those things and more.
Going to be very interesting what the outcome is on this. I've got a bad feeling about this World Cup in terms of attendances. I have had for a few weeks now, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But that's a straw in the wind, if you like, from the Hoteliers Association, just adds to our kind of increasing concern that actually the attendance figures at this World Cup may be lower than people expect.
Well, we said last week, didn't we? We looked at it last week and said there's 20,000 unsold seats for the United States opener, their home game, their opening home game, their first game of the World Cup. There's 20,000 unsold seats. Unbelievable.
I tell you, if United States get knocked out early, this could be wasteland. This could be, those little things that blow across.
Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed.
Yeah. If you want to hear one of those, mate, just tell a joke.
I heard a funny joke the other day. No, I won't tell you it. It's just too bad.
Okay. No, most of your jokes are bad.
No, it was
actually breaking new ground on that.
No, I was nearly going to tell it then, but my standards are too high.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. That's the first time I've ever heard you say that phrase. Right. Moving on. Well, let's have a quick discussion before we get back into the kind of the snapshot news. Let's have a quick discussion because we had an email. Our old mate, Angry Matt, is back. I haven't heard from him for absolutely ages. And the reason we haven't heard from him is because his beloved Premier League team, Nottingham Forest, who he supports, have been so rubbish all season.
Yeah.
And now suddenly, because they've won a couple of games and they're going to escape relegation by the looks of things, and they're in the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League, who's chirping up all of a sudden? So what's he got to say for himself, Ken?
Well, I think he's on about Gibbs-White and Elliot Anderson, isn't he? About whether they merit, or will they be a very integral part of Tuchel's plans in the World Cup, integral part of the squad? I think they will be, but will they be influential and impactful for the England team? That was my take on it. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, what he actually said was they're top of, given the fact they're top of all the stats, should they be in the England squad? My first question to him is, what stats are you looking at? Are you looking at simply Nottingham Forest stats, or are you actually bothering to compare them with other players? Are they going to be in the England team? Well,
I think we can assume he's going to be comparing with other players. He's not going to compare with his mates, is he? Kind of thing.
Yeah, if you compare them with me, then he's top of the stats.
Yeah.
But I've had a look at some of the Premier League stats, and I can't find them anywhere. Other than he's not in the top goal scorers. He's not in the top assists. He is in the top one of number of stitches in a player's head after his collision. I don't know if you saw that. Goodness me, that was horrendous. And we joke, but I actually send him all my best wishes because that was nasty. He's had a good season: 13 goals, 3 assists in 35 appearances.
Is this Anderson or Gibbs-White we're talking about?
This is Gibbs-White. I'll come on to Anderson in a minute. Anderson's a slightly less contentious situation.
He's given, isn't he?
Well, Anderson. Okay, let's start with Anderson. He's a given. He's going to be playing. He's not only in the squad, but he's a first choice.
Yeah,
in the
he's
11.
been great. He's been great for England, hasn't he? That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. He's been great for us and great for England. I've got no. I think Anderson will be, on the team sheet, no problem at all. Gibbs-White is an interesting one because, despite what Angry Matt seems to think, for quite a large part of the season, he hasn't been great. Now I know Forest have been through 18 managers, but he hasn't really performed until the latest manager, Vitor Pereira, who's a very good coach, has changed the way Forest play. He's playing with a couple up front, and more importantly, he's moved Gibbs-White up the pitch to play in a kind of 10 role where he's really attacking, and suddenly he's making a difference. And he is making a difference. He's playing really, really well, scoring goals, getting assists, and looking a real threat. And you're thinking, right, well, is he making a late charge for the England squad? And I think he is. And one of the reasons I think he is because players who might be in his way, the likes of Cole Palmer and the likes of Phil Foden, aren't doing anything. They're having. I mean, Foden's just kind of a sub now at Man City at best.
Yeah.
Palmer's playing for Chelsea, but Chelsea are absolutely dreadful.
You can't buy a win, can they?
No. So you know what? If the World Cup was tomorrow, I would be taking Gibbs-White over Palmer and Foden. I just would, because what you want to do at World Cups, you want to take players who are in form, who are playing full of confidence, and with Gibbs-White, I know he's got this horrendous head injury at the moment, but I don't think he'll play in the semi-final game against Villa in the Europa League tonight, which is because we're recording this on Thursday, an hour before kickoff. But he won't. He'll finish the season in the Premier League. He'll be okay to go. And he's full of it. And you want players who don't want players who are going to the World Cup who have barely played or who have played in a terrible team with no confidence. You don't. It's just not good. It's just not good. You don't pick on reputation. You pick on what is going on in the current time. So for me, Gibbs-White is making a very strong case to be on the plane.
Yeah, I think he will be on the plane. But I don't think he'll get a lot of game time. I think the argument here is does Tuchel look at what we would call recency bias? Is he recency biased in the sense of Gibbs-White is playing well now? He's had a shocking season overall. Not really his fault, but he hasn't proved anything. He hasn't pulled any trees up to the last month, and then he's had a good last month. And so if Tuchel is looking at who's in form, which is recency bias, Gibbs-White makes a very strong case because, as you say, the other players don't. But I don't think Tuchel thinks like that. I don't think Tuchel thinks like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Tuchel thinks like, who's played well for England? Who can I rely on? Who are my chosen ones? I think Tuchel's more like that. So I think Tuchel's quite resistant to recency bias, and therefore I can definitely see Morgan Gibbs-White being on the plane. I just don't think he's going to squeeze himself ahead of some of the other players in front of him in terms of game time. Elliot Anderson's different. I think because he's played well for Tuchel. Tuchel trusts him. I don't think that trust is quite there with Gibbs-White.
That's absolutely fair. Yeah, I mean he's up against obviously Palmer. He's up against Foden. He's up against Morgan Rogers, who's not really playing particularly well.
No.
In terms of, and I'm thinking, I'm not talking about guaranteed players like Jude Bellingham. He's not up against Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham will go, or Saka, or anything like that. I'm thinking about players who certainly in the ether here, but might not make it because they've not been playing well. So
yeah.
I
think there's four or five of them, but I just think Cole Palmer and Foden are up higher up the pecking order with Tuchel.
Palmer, I think, certainly will be. Yeah. I'm not convinced by Foden at all.
Well, Foden's had a funny season because he had a golden period during the season of Foden, didn't he? And then he fell away. He had a terrible start, had a kind of good middle bit, and then it's fallen away.
But it was only 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it was.
And this is 2 seasons now where he struggled. He had a poor season last season. He's become a little bit of a bit part player at Man City, and even when he is playing, doesn't really set the world alight. So interesting to see.
So are we saying both of them are going to be on the plane?
I think you might be right. I think certainly Anderson will be there. I think Gibbs-White will be in the initial squad.
Yeah.
Whether he'll then make the final cut, who knows? I'm not sure. I think you may be right. But what I'm saying is he's making a very strong case for it.
Yeah, I would say so. And even as you're a Derby fan, I'm kind of a Derby fan. It is nice to see Forest pull away from the bottom.
Yes, because I want an away day at Tottenham next year.
That isn't going to happen. I'm afraid it's going to be West Ham, isn't it?
Well, I'd like an away day at West Ham then. It's still
Yeah.
better than going to Forest.
Yeah, indeed.
But anyway, they're playing in the Europa Conference League semi-final tonight against Villa. So best of luck to both of those teams. And again, a word from our sponsor, shall we? And then we'll crack on.
Because the Road to World Cup 26 podcast is partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Because your body's unique, Nick. Your body. I'm looking at you. Because without knowing exactly what your body needs, if you just take off the shelf supplements, you might not be getting enough of what you do need, maybe getting too much of what you don't need. And nobody wants too much of what you don't need, do we? So Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements specifically designed for your body. So why don't you click on the show notes? You'll get more details. You'll get 50% off your first order if you click that link.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Yep, you are indeed listening to Road to World Cup 26 podcast. We like to hear from you, so do get in touch with us. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel. You can, if you really want to, if you fancy having a discussion point, as Angry Matt has done this week, as Yannick from Switzerland did last week, do drop us an email.
We should get Angry Matt on, shouldn't we?
He'd be too angry. He'd blow the computer up.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Would he burn my Starlink system?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's forget that then, Angry.
I'm going to try and get him on, actually. I'm going to try and get him on. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and get him
on. When England squad's announced with neither Anderson or Gibbs-White on the plane.
Imagine. I can look out the window. Nottingham is, as the crow flies, about 18 miles from Derby. Yeah. And I can look out the window and see the smoke rising out of his ears.
It'll be like a nuclear explosion.
So email us, please, at roadtoworldcup26@gmail.com. roadtoworldcup26@gmail.com. We are always delighted to hear from you. And thank you very much indeed for being with us. Right, I've got a little interesting story, interesting club versus country story to bring you now. And that is that the Mexican Football Federation has told some of its domestic players, those who play in Liga MX, the Premier League in Mexico, that they will not be going to the World Cup unless they attend a training camp, which has been organised outside of the official kind of FIFA breaks. And the controversial thing about that is that there are 7 players who look like they're going to defy that rule because they play for teams who are currently involved in end-of-season playoffs in either the Mexican League or the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So you've got Champions Cup semi-final going on involving Toluca, who play Los Angeles, and Chivas, another team, are preparing for, they're in the middle of a Liga MX playoff quarter-final. So what happened was that the Mexican Football Federation essentially put out a diktat saying, right, if you're invited to this training camp, you're in and you must attend, regardless of anything else. And if you don't attend, you'll not be considered for the World Cup. And
does this apply to international players as well, or purely domestic?
No, domestics.
Okay.
And both clubs initially said, yeah, okay, that's fine. And they released their players, 5 players from Chivas and 2 from Toluca. And they went to the Mexico training camp. Both lost their first legs. So in readiness for the second leg, Toluca essentially sort of have asked the Mexican Federation for leniency and to release those 2 players. Chivas have said, well, hang about, that's not on. If those 2 players are going to play for that team, then thank you very much. They've told all 5 of their players to quit the camp and attend the club training for the next day because they've both got second legs to win. And obviously their international players are going to be of great benefit to them. The coach, Javier Aguirre, the Mexican coach, is standing firm. He's saying, whoever, and I'm going to quote him here, whoever doesn't come will be out of the World Cup. We can't be flexible, not at all. So there's a really interesting standoff going on here. And I think it's probably a bit unfair of the Mexican Football Federation to just call a training camp and then say you must attend or you're not going to the World Cup when there are incredibly important domestic games still to be played. I can understand it if it was an end of season and nothing's happening, or you've got a game and it's a bit of a dead rubber. But when it's playoffs and semi-finals, they're big games, and clubs do not want to be missing their top players.
Sounds to me like one of the most stupid decisions I've ever heard. Not just to sit on the fence about it. It's absolutely mind-numbingly dim, isn't it? Uh, presumably the argument is we get everyone together and we'll be a better team. Mexico will be a better team for having spent that time together and acclimatized and all that kind of stuff. Absolute nonsense, because at the end of the day, particularly this time throughout the season, you're going to get that issue that actually clubs are at the most pivotal part of their season. Players are winners. The reason why they're elite sportsmen is that they're born to win. They won't want to do that. So you actually risk weakening the Mexican team. Actually, if they do stand by this, because to be honest, I can't see all the players turning up. I think they will. The club pays them day in, day out, week in, week out. The supporters support them day in, day out. They'll put the club first, and rightly so in this scenario. The thing that really doesn't make sense in this is that it's domestic only, because there's going to be international players who aren't going to be at that session anyway, because they're not expected to turn up. So actually, you're not getting all your players anyway. So why do you dig the heels in and say no, but every domestic player must be there, but the international players you're fine? That doesn't make any sense. So I think the Mexican football authorities have got this completely wrong.
Well, I think the international players can go if they play for teams where the season's already ended. You see, that's the thing.
Yeah, but
this clashes with domestic.
Yeah, but presumably, if that's right, that means the international players who have got club commitments are excused in some way. Doesn't make sense. So yeah, I'm afraid if I was a player for Chivas, I'd be saying right, see you. And I tell you now, it's the Mexican FA which will back down off this.
We'll see. We'll keep a close eye on that. Interestingly, here, a broadcast story, which I always find I'm always interested in these types of stories. So the two biggest countries in the world, which are what, Ken?
I would say it's Wales and the Isle of Man. No, it's not. It's China and India.
Correct. And FIFA
is that one of me? Is that one? Is that Kenny's?
No, that's not one of Kenny's quiz. No, that's not one of Kenny's. FIFA have reportedly yet to agree broadcast deals in China and India, which, if they can't do that, nobody in China and nobody in India, and that's like millions and millions and millions of people, 1.16 billion people. There you go, in China and 746 million in India. So add those two together, and you've got nearly 2 billion people won't be able to watch the World Cup. Great. And it's just, again, it goes. Ken, I keep coming back to this thing. There is so much still to do with 5 weeks left.
And yeah,
how can you go into kind of the nether reaches of the warm up, and we're nearly the competition's on us, and you haven't done a broadcast deal with two of the biggest countries in the world?
Oh, the two biggest.
Well, the two biggest countries in the world. Now, I know China and India aren't football powerhouses, but as I said, the 2022 World Cup, it was watched by 1.16 billion people in China and 746 million in India. So that's an audience of 2 billion people that they are missing out on.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And maybe more if more people want to tune in. I don't know.
Now, if anybody here has negotiated with Indians and Chinese, they do drive a hard bargain, and I imagine they are driving a hard bargain because they know they've got massive powerhouse of audience. So I think it's a bit of brinkmanship going on here. But
there was a report in Reuters which said that FIFA had asked for $100 million US dollars for broadcasting rights in India. And one of the broadcasters there, which is kind of the only broadcaster that's come forward, has offered 20 million.
Yeah. And I you know what, that feels about right. It's not cricket. In India, it's not cricket. The actual, people will watch it because it's on, because they love their sport in India. But I don't think this is a particularly valuable, even though there's a lot of people, it's not a particularly valuable contract. But yeah, I mean, that's the issue.
Well, say for China, perhaps, because China accounted for more than half of all live viewerships on digital and social platforms. during Qatar 2022. So there is massive appetite there.
There is a massive appetite, but
it'll just seem unbelievable, won't it? It will seem unbelievable if they can't. I mean, they will reach an agreement. What will happen is obviously they'll come to an agreement, and it will be, they want 100 million, they'll get 40 or something like that in the end. But
that's what will happen.
Get it sorted. Why have they not got it sorted yet?
Well, there's an awful lot around this World Cup that's unsorted, and we're probably going to come to the big issue pretty soon. But it is. The other thing just to mention on that, of course, is, and we talked about it when I think we talked about China in an earlier episode. Football in China has really gone off the boil.
Yes,
it was a big thing, wasn't it?
They invested. They invested
years ago. It was massive, wasn't it? And
even more than that. I mean, for 15 years ago, they were investing heavily in it, and then they just stopped because it wasn't.
It just hasn't caught on in quite the same way. They had massive schools churning out millions of players who are going to be the best players in the world. It just hasn't materialized. Yeah. One of the few failures of the Chinese centralist state, actually, dominate everything else, but they could never break football.
Yeah, and yet they look across at Japan, who have got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and South Korea. So
yeah,
so, absolutely strange.
So there we are. And finally, from me, Ken, you asked me a question last week, which I said I was going to answer this week. And your question was, how on earth does the World Cup cost £3.8 billion to put on? How is it? I'm going to give you the answer right now.
Right.
1.6 billion is on tournament operations. So that includes venue management, logistics for all the 48 teams, ticketing systems, and hosting costs across the 16 cities. Prize money is 655 million.
Okay.
And that's a 50% increase from 2022. Champions alone get $50 million. This is every participating team is guaranteed at least $9 million. And if you remember, we talked last week about the FIFA Congress meeting.
Imagine the party on Cape Verde.
And that was increasing.
They've got £9 million to spend, haven't they? There's only 27 people live there.
I know. And TV and broadcasting accounts for 900 million, and that's production of the world feed, high-tech broadcasting hubs, all the IT infrastructure that's required to beam matches globally. And there's team prep and benefits for 350 million. That includes giving $1.5 million dollars for each team for preparation, and payments to clubs whose players participate. And finally, $250 million on marketing and licensing. So global sponsorships, licensing operations, all of that kind of stuff. So that's where it is, mate.
Well, that's a brilliant breakdown of it. Well done. I can't help thinking there's plenty of people making quite a lot of money out of this. They need a dedicated podcast, don't they? Really?
Yeah.
But we'd do it for 1.5 million, wouldn't we?
We've been working on this. We've been working on the World Cup longer than anybody, and we haven't made a penny out of it.
Flipping, can't believe it. Anyway, there you go.
Right. Anything else from you, Ken, before we move on to
just
Ken, because you've got a couple of bits, haven't you?
Just a quick one. Well, only I want to come back to your favourite subject, which is are Iran going to participate? I think my estimate was at 3% last week. I think your estimate was at 20%.
I gave it 20% because I'm a very as you well know, I'm a very happy, positive, optimistic sort of person, Ken, and I like to think that it could happen.
Okay. Well, I think the chances of it happening have improved this week, but only slightly. So I'm going up to 10%.
Oh, really? Okay.
In the sense of Iran's foreign minister has said that the country is going to participate, but this is Esmail Bagaei, but he's put the onus very much on FIFA to ensure that the conditions are right. And this has been doubled down on by our friend, Mehdi Taj, of course, who got banned from going to Canada because of his links to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Fair enough. But Taj said on Iran would take part in the FIFA if FIFA could guarantee the respect for the country's institutions in the US. Now, FIFA's in no position to guarantee anything anywhere, never, and certainly not in the US. Because all their 3 games are being played in America. But of course, the counter argument to that is, he said, if the expectations are not met, then if there is no guarantees given, then they would make a different decision. What I think may be happening there is that our friend Mehdi Taj is preparing the ground for a pullout. He's got a meeting, by the way, with Infantino in 3 or 4 days. They'll probably have a very nice meal and things like that and talk it over. If he feels after those 3 or 4 days that Infantino is not in a position to guarantee that the institutions of the Islamic Republic of Iran are going to be guaranteed, we may well be saying goodbye to Iran. I think he's given himself a way out there and a way of saving face. But put everything together, and also, it looks like things are cooling down in the Strait of Hormuz. Though I haven't looked at it in the last 5 minutes, things may have changed. It looks like the temperature is just cooling down. So I think on my dial of the percentage chance of Iran participating just went up slightly to 10%. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it as it is. I think I would. My opinion is based purely really on heart versus head. I think I would just like to see them participate. I think it would be right for them to participate because they're a football. It's a football competition.
Big football nation. Big football.
And we'll see. We'll see.
But it's all geopolitics, which is the bit that interests me.
Yeah, no, sooner or later somebody's got to make a decision. Well, do you know what? I know it interested you because when you were talking, you were you were obviously accidentally leaning on your keyboard and pressing the react button because there was lots of thumbs up floating up my screen from Ken Davies whilst you were talking. So you quite clearly agreed with your.
It's doing it now. There's another one going to go. It does it on its own. It's just
it's just you quite clearly. It's just you quite clearly agreeing with yourself. That's all it is.
It's actually Elon Musk who's listening through my Starlink system saying, "Go on, Ken, go for it." You talk.
Possibly so. Okay. It might just be you leaning on your keyboard. Right, let's get on with Kenny's quiz then to end the podcast. Everybody's favourite time of the week. Here we go. We talked about FIFA not yet agreeing a deal to broadcast the World Cup with the two biggest countries in the world, China and India. Therefore, this week's quiz is based on the world's largest countries. Ken, give me a number. I've got 10 questions here, and it's a multiple choice one. So give me a number between 1 and 10.
4.
Number 4. You did 4 last week. That's all you ever do is 4.
And it went well.
Okay. Which North American country is the 4th largest in the world by land area and is famous for its diverse landscapes from coast to coast?
Canada.
Which Oh, okay. The answer is the United States.
No chance.
So I was going to give you multiple choice there, and Canada wasn't even in the multiple choice. So.
No way.
Unlucky on you. Right, give me a number between 1 and 10.
4.
You can't do 4. I've just given you 4.
5.
5. And you don't have to dive in here.
I can't believe.
Well,
it's not bigger than.
So you don't think the whole of North America isn't bigger than Canada?
Huh? You confused me now.
So the United States of America, by landmass, is smaller than Canada. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay.
Number 6. What are you on? 5? Right. Okay. The largest country in South America and the 5th largest in the world by total area is known for its Amazon rainforest. Which country are we talking about here?
Brazil.
Is it? Okay. You've gone for Brazil. You've shot your load too early again, mate.
No chance.
But you are indeed correct.
Yeah.
Well done.
Right.
So it's 1-1 going into the final question of the week. Come on. Give me a number between 1 and 10.
6.
If you get this right, I'm going to have to make this a lot harder because that's 2 in a row you've won for the first time ever. Which country known?
Oh no, he's realised it's too easy. He's realised it's too easy.
Right, give it up. My computer's gone off. Give me another number.
Yeah, what? You absolutely. Come on, right. Rules are rules, mate.
Which I'm going to do a bit of the question here. Which country is both a continent and the 6th largest country in the world by total area?
Is that all I'm getting? I'm going to say Australia.
Oh, because I was also going to say the bit I didn't read out was it's known as the land down under.
Hey.
So the answer is A, South Africa. So unlucky, mate. You
No chance.
No, it is. It is, of course.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll.
You
I
are
feel like
2-1,
Morgan
yeah.
Gibbs-White. I'm probably going to cut my head open on the way to the ATM later on.
So two victories in a row for you. 2-1. So well done.
Come on.
Many congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations. Well done, mate.
Thanks very much.
Right. Okay. Well, that brings an end to this week's podcast. It's another fun-filled, news-filled, opinion-filled, information-filled podcast for you.
What are we going to do when the actual World Cup starts? We're going to do it daily. We're going to have a daily roundup. Can we do that? I think we should try and do that.
We're going to have to do something, aren't we?
I think what we need to do, our viewers need to let us know. Do you want a daily Road to World Cup podcast during the World Cup? We'll do it. If you want it, we'll do it. Might not have us both all the time, but we could do it, I reckon. If I should said that live on the air.
You did say that. Yeah.
That's not really the way we should make editorial decisions, is it?
No, not really. No. But we'll have that discussion, Ken. Off air, preferably.
Very good.
Right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. We'll see you next week. And until then, look after yourselves, look after each other. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.